2 times a week, I would go through the garden and do a big cut, make a ton of bouquets, and then I was just handing them out the door to everyone who was leaving. So if my husband was going to work, he was taking flowers. If my teenagers were going to work, they were taking them. They were taking them to volleyball. They were taking them to their friend's house. They were taking them everywhere. And half the time they were reluctant, but I realized the person on the other end of this exchange needs those flowers. And I don't even know who they're going to go to, but there is not one person that isn't carrying something heavy. And those flowers will meet them in a way that I cannot.
Hey friend, welcome to the Growing Kindness Podcast. I'm your host, Deanna Kitchen, founder of the Growing Kindness Movement. This is a place where we grow together, learning to root our lives in kindness, connection, and community. If you've ever wished the world felt a little softer, a little more neighborly, or if you're craving stories that remind you that goodness still grows, you're in the right place. Together with our guests, we'll share stories of generosity and community, proof that even the smallest acts of kindness, from growing and giving cut flowers to everyday acts of care, can change lives and connect us in powerful ways. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get started. Welcome back to the podcast. It is always a delight and honor to get to sit in these conversations and be able to share them with you. Our guest, Jenny Pirto, is a 2025 Growing Kindness Ambassador, and woven all throughout her story is this beautiful thread of the way that flowers have created this tool for connection in her community. So Jenny, I am so thrilled to have you here with us today. I know that everyone is going to be so excited to hear your story. I think it's such a beautiful reminder to us all that those small, simple things that we can do can create threads of connection within our communities. So welcome to the podcast. So can you share with us a little bit about who you are and where in the world you're growing kindness?
Yes, I am 43 years old. I've been married to my husband, Sam, for 23 years, and we have 4 kids together. Ava, who's 18, Lila, 16, Ben is 12, and Nora is 8. And I've been a homeschool mom since the beginning. So I've got to grow up alongside them. Really, it's been beautiful and it's been hard too, but I love the life that we have because of it. There's been so much freedom and so many friendships along the way. And then as my flowers have grown, that's been another way that I've been able to connect with people in our community. And it's great. I love everything about it.
Fantastic. Okay, so tell us, where in the world are you growing kindness?
We live in Idaho, in Caldwell, right outside of Boise. And my husband and I were both born and raised here. So it's been home forever.
How big is of an area is that? I feel like there's a lot of tiny little towns in Idaho. Are you in like a one stoplight or?
Oh, no, it's much bigger. I think we have 100,000. Maybe it's.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. They're all. Our state has grown so much that what started as tiny little towns with lots of fields in between, they've all just kind of grown together now at this point. So it's the Treasure Valley. It's all of the cities around Boise.
Okay. All right. In my mind, I always think I'm only familiar with a few small towns in Idaho. So I think, oh, everyone must be. And for a long time, like you said, it was small.
Yeah. And they're all about 20 minutes away. My husband was born in Boise. I was born in Nampa, and we've settled in Caldwell now. And
okay.
They're all 20 minutes away from each other.
And so your connection with growing kindness actually begins with a local connection, right? Like that's how you got there. That's how you first learned about our organization and what we do, right?
Yes. I met my friend, Lori. Lori's a Growing Kindness Ambassador, and we met at Costco. We were both shopping and digging through the racks for dahlia tubers, and I looked up and I saw she was just as into it as I was. And so we were like, oh, we should be friends. We're really into dahlias. And so we've been friends now for six or 7 years. To do the things, my teenagers.
I mean, I'm dying. Of course, like people are listening won't see it, but like any parent, I don't think you'd have to be living under a rock to not see the 6, 7 hands going right now. Oh my goodness. And my kids, isn't it so funny? These things like go viral and they're like, that's dumb. That's old now. So But all the funny things. How cool though. I have this picture of you guys like just peering at each other
Yeah.
like through the
Yeah.
stacks of dahlias like it was love at first sight.
It was exactly that. And so we were friends. And then I met the sweetest old man on Facebook in a gardening group. His name is Randy Miller, and he is just as passionate about dahlias. And Randy is, I don't know what it is about him. I don't know if it's because he's older in life, but his drive is insane. And he wanted to start a Dahlia Society in our area, and he got me on board. So I made a Facebook group and I made an Instagram page and started doing graphics to make a logo and get our name out there, inform people. And so we founded the Southwest Idaho Dahlia Society. And so we've just been gathering people for the past few years. And then there was a Dahlia coup, which happens sometimes in groups like that. And so we ended up,
Oh, wait. This is
there
like,
was
oh, the
drama.
drama.
There was
Oh, the
Dahlia
drama.
drama, and you go, how does this happen about flowers? But you have to remember that people are part of the equation, and sometimes things get crazy. And so we ended up splitting off and we reformed. We decided we're all still just as crazy obsessed about dahlias. And so we dropped a lot of the, I guess it's rules for a Dahlia Society, the Robert's Rules of Order, and all of the things that made it kind of annoying. And we just made the Treasure Valley Dahlia Club. And we were able to keep our Facebook group community that we've been growing for years. And so we almost have 1,000 people in it now. And it's just been a wonderful resource. Anytime we find new Dahlia people, we're like, join the club, let's go. And so they join our Facebook group and we chat about dahlias all day long.
Isn't it it's like just the picture of how connecting flowers are?
They are. They are. And Randy always quotes this dahlia breeder. I don't remember his name. I think it was Bud something. He's passed now, but he said, I came for the dahlias and I stayed for the people.
I love
And
that.
I'm like, oh, it just gets to my heart every time. And I'm like, it's true. We are all banded together with this dahlia obsession and crazy love of flowers. And then we form community and we stay for the people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Oh man, so good. Okay, so prior to you meeting Lori, you weren't familiar with what the Growing Kindness Project is, like who we were as an organization and what we do. However, you were growing flowers. So were you growing and giving flowers, or was that kind of your first introduction to like sharing flowers in your community in that way?
I was a perennial gardener for all the years of my life. I've always loved yards and gardening, but the idea of cutting the flowers and taking them out of my landscape killed me because I'm like, oh, they're there to be enjoyed. And once you cut it, it's gone. It's just foliage now. And I just couldn't take it. So then I've been a soap maker my whole life since I was a teenager, and I've done farmer markets, so many over the years. And I decided, what would go really great with soap is flowers. And I should just make a cutting garden. And if I make a cutting garden, then those flowers are solely for cutting, and then I won't feel bad about it. So that's what I
Mm-hmm.
did. I started raised beds on the side of my house for my dahlias. The dahlia obsession had really kicked off, and I went from 5 to 30 to 100. And there were so many, I had to give them away. And so my first thought was, oh, I'll make bouquets and I'll sell them. And that's how I'll get them out. And then it will fund my obsession. So there we go. I'm winning. And I would go to the farmer market, and my local farmer market was Tuesday evenings. And it was at the heat of the day, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I would bring these flowers out and they would sit in the heat, just burning on the asphalt. And they were limp. And then our market was also part of a concert series. So we didn't have like the hardcore market vendors that were there for their veggies and
Mm-hmm.
flowers. So it really was not a good fit for my flowers. And I would leave with all these beautiful bouquets that I had spent all morning cutting. And I was so bummed about it. I'm like, I have to give them away. So I started going with my kids and walking the subdivision. So I would do the market, and any extra flowers I had, we would go around the neighborhood and give them out to neighbors. And
What was that like with your kids? And what was that experience? I mean, did you know all of your neighbors prior to that? Like, I want to hear more about that.
Yes, I also became the HOA president of my neighborhood, and I did that job for 4 or 5 years. And so I knew a lot of my neighbors just through dealing with all the things that happened in a neighborhood. And so I knew where the widows were. I knew where the old ladies were. I knew where the young moms were and the people that were struggling or that didn't get out. And so we would go around and hand out the flowers. And my kids, it's funny you drag your children along to these things. And are they really? They're not that into it. Like I'm into it, but they're like, oh, we gotta go. Okay. And then I watch them pulling the wagon and I'm pushing the little ones up to the sidewalk. Go give the flowers to this sweet old lady. And they're nervous at first and they have to work through all their nerves of it. And then they give them away. And it's like you can see something lights up in them and they're like, oh, I like this. And so then it became more regular, easy for them to do. And we did that a whole summer. And then Lori said, you should be in the Growing Kindness Project. And yeah,
You're already carrying the mission forward
yeah.
in
And
your
so
community.
I went on the website and read through everything and looked at the application process. And I'm like, so I'm already doing these things. So what is going on here? I was trying to go, what is this going to do? Because I'm already doing it. And I'm like, well, why not? Why not just find out? And I didn't realize right away connection to an entire network of people just like me. And then it immediately challenged me to think of new ways to give out flowers. I went from taking my leftover ones in my yard to I have to go to the mechanic shop today. So we're going to make two bouquets, one for them and one for them to give. And so then it just became part of our rhythm of our life. I did the 2 times a week. I would go through the garden and do a big cut, make a ton of bouquets, and then I was just handing them out the door to everyone who was leaving. So if my husband was going to work, he was taking flowers. If my teenagers were going to work, they were taking them. They were taking them to volleyball. They were taking them to their friend's house. They were taking them everywhere. And half the time they were reluctant, but I realized the person on the other end of this exchange needs those flowers. And I don't even know who they're going to go to, but there is not one person that isn't carrying something heavy. And those flowers will meet them in a way that I cannot.
Okay, I have to take a breath. I didn't anticipate getting teary. I'm sitting with like, I hear you so much. I think that we don't know who's in need and we have to trust that they're going to end up exactly in the hands of who needs that care and kindness. And in the same breath, I think what's making me teary is picturing the seeds that you're planting in your family's lives. Like that your kids are witnessing and participating in this. And it's just the natural rhythm of your family. Like this is just what we do. We have something, we share it. We have opportunity to see people. So we see them and we reach out. We don't just see a need. We have something to do. Like what? These are the ripples. These are the seeds that we won't get to see. I don't think necessarily, but I just have to wonder, how are those going to grow? And what are they going to look like in 10 years as your kiddos? Or I mean, like I think you were sharing your oldest is 18. Like even in the next few years, as she starts navigating adulthood and finding her place in her community. And then your youngest in 10, 20 years, like I just wonder as a parent, because my experience has been similar and I will not sugarcoat, like in the beginning, you're kind of dragging them along with you. Like you're bribing them.
Yeah,
Like I would bribe, like we're going to give flowers in long-term care. And then when we're done, we're going to go celebrate by getting ice cream. Or like like you said, it's reluctant because it's new. It's uncomfortable. Meeting people is hard. The pandemic certainly impacted all of us, but especially our kids. Like we took away those years of just practicing meeting people and seeing people and helping people. But to know that they're getting to have those experiences and that's just a normal part of I can just see moms in her pajamas, like, hey, you're heading out the door. Like, here you go. It's just so ordinary and common. And yet the seeds that it's planting in their lives is incredible to think about the way those are going to grow and multiply as they grow.
I hope
And
so.
yeah,
I hope
yeah.
so because I'm handing them the bouquets and their eyes are rolling like, Mom, why are you always doing this? But I'm like, you don't know. You don't know what that person needs, but they need flowers. So you're doing it.
Hmm.
But then I'll get a message from a mom who's like, thank you so much. That meant so much to me. And I'm like, see, there it is.
Hmm. Do your kids have any of their own stories now of how it impacted them in giving flowers? Or are you still in that season of like, okay, we will if we have to?
They just know now that their mom is the flower lady. So they're just adept to it.
Uh-huh.
Now they're just giving them away and the attitudes are
Yep.
shifted. I
Yep.
know the girls went up to camp last summer and they had to drive 2 hours up for a wedding. They've been part of this Bible camp since they were 8 years old. So they're pretty connected up to Shiloh Bible Camp in Donley. And a friend of theirs was getting married and it was at the camp. And so they were driving up for the wedding. And I'm like, there are new camp directors. You need to take them these flowers. She is a young mom who just had a baby and has a toddler. She needs flowers. And my oldest daughter was so mad she was going to have to babysit these flowers all the way up, but they made it. So I was thankful that she took them up, made it through the wedding, kept them in the car out of the heat, and was able to give them.
I think this is I feel like this is the normalizing conversation as parents, right? Like it isn't necessarily always sunshine and rainbows and easy to help our kids learn these like really big, hard lessons of what does that look like to put ourselves over and over again in this place of discomfort to build connections. It was interesting. I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day. I can't remember where I heard the statistic, but I think it's something like 7 seconds or 70 seconds. I'm going to have to go look it up but basically that we have to kind of sit in this just awkwardness when we are starting a conversation with somebody new. And then it gets easier and easier. It's like this muscle that we build for like knowing, I don't know what if it's like you just know like, oh, it's okay. I can sit in that kind of weird, awkward, like they're going to think I'm weird or I won't know what to say kind of moments, because on the other side of that, there's going to be this really cool connection or interaction. But to help them just have the opportunity to do it over and over again, even if it's not necessarily like easy or something they navigate towards on their own. It's normalizing. Because I will admit, sometimes I have thought with my kids, like, should this be easier? Like, should we be past the season of where I have to say, like, no, we really are going to go share flowers and it really is going to impact people. But then, like you said, then you see these little seeds planted in your kids' lives.
It is so hard to step outside yourself. And I recognize that. I don't know where I land on the scale of introvertedness and extroverted. I feel like I'm both, but I really enjoy being home. And I recognize how hard it is to push yourself to show up for others sometimes. So giving them those flowers and seeing that hesitation, I know they're having that internal struggle of going, okay, I have to. And I'm like, yes, you have to. But it's been a beautiful way with homeschooling. I feel like I'm always trying to trick my kids into learning. Any way I can get them to learn something that doesn't feel like a textbook and rote work is like a win for me. So being able to give them flowers and kind of push them out the door and go show up for others. This is a way you can serve. And I've done all the work for you. You literally just have to hand them to them and say, these are for you. And it's been beautiful. And I hope someday when they are mothers that they will look back and see the gift in it, because I'm like, girls, how cool is it to be the person that shows up with the beautiful bouquets every time? It feels pretty good.
It's a conversation my husband and I have too. It's like, do I anticipate all three of our sons are going to run out the moment they graduate and plant a flower garden because they know it's going to be a place that tends their wellness, their mental health? That I don't think I could not say to you right now that, yeah, they're passionate about flowers. They love flowers. Like, nope, definitely not. Like mountain bikes, maybe. Yeah. Rock climbing. Yeah. But like flowers, nope, that's not in their season. But I listened to this story. A gentleman, he was on a friend's podcast recently, and he was sharing about how his mom would make him garden with her And he thought it was just drudgery as a young boy, as a teenage boy, like, okay, fine. And she was always gifting flowers. And now he finds tremendous joy in gardening and sharing flowers himself. And so will they necessarily have a direct path that like brings them back to this thing that we love that's helped us and that allows us to help our community? Maybe not. But bigger than that, I think it's planted these seeds of, I can see a need in my community and there's something I can do. And for me, there was just this full circle moment with my oldest. He would have been, wasn't driving. I have to like do that. Like, was this before or after driving? It was before driving. We were sitting at a local coffee shop, kind of plotting out his summer 4-H projects and like getting all the notes of things that we needed to do. So it's just him and I. And he just like got up mid conversation and walked away. And as a mom, I had that moment of like, what in the world? Like we were just talking. And I look over and he'd walked over to this older gentleman with a cane and Veterans of Foreign War hat on, just that age and era life experience. And he had his coffee cup and his cane and his keys. And he was having a hard time juggling them all and getting his door open and getting in. And Eli had seen it and like jumped up to offer to help. And in that moment, I just wondered, like, has this season of helping them see people and see their needs and then do something about it, like, has this helped equip him to see needs and feel comfortable in the awkwardness of like that? Will they be offended if I'm offering to help? Will they tell me to get away? Like, to just sit in that awkwardness just for a little bit long enough to be able to make a connection. And the gentleman was graciously accepted his help and thanked him. And it was just a sweet little moment of connection. But I do like sometimes still wonder, like, were those seeds that we planted in getting out in our community and you know, repeatedly getting uncomfortable with meeting people and having to walk up to people and having to recognize people in their need. For us, like a lot of that was long-term care residents. Did that like prepare him for that moment in that day? I don't know, but I can like hope that's what it is. And I can hope that's the seed that's going to like the kind of fruit that's going to keep coming from that, those seeds that we planted as parents.
Well, and then you get those moments. God gives you a little glimpse of it and you go, oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I am doing something right.
I think as parents, we really hold on to that tightly, right? Like, because we don't get to see the outcomes necessarily until they're young adults or parents themselves or citizens and established in their own communities. And so it's that like trust that, okay, you get these little glimmers, like, okay, this does matter. This does help. And yeah, I just love that picture of you in the morning, sending your kids out the door, flowers in hand, and just not only the ripples of impact and kindness that's spreading in your community that day with those bouquets, but the seeds that's planting in your kid's life that could grow and ripple in ways that we may never know. So cool.
I hope someday that my children have a garden because I can't get any of them outside to come work in the yard with me. They are not fans of the garden. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm raising you surrounded in flowers, but they view it as chores. And so I'm like, well,
I wonder how much of it. Yeah, I think about, the gentleman's name is Dr. Jan. I wonder, like, his story actually has just been really encouraging to me to think about that component of like, he hated it. It was drudgery when he was a teenager. Like, why are we doing this? We could just plant grass and mow it and be done. And then it ultimately becoming something that was a place of joy and creativity later on. And I don't know, sometimes I think about, I don't know at what point I read this as a parent, but that kids who see their parents eat a lot of vegetables are more likely to eat vegetables, even if they're not like consuming like whole portions or that's their choice. So it's like, maybe it's the same. Like if they see us, and actually, I think it was our last episode's podcast guest, Dr. Barb, her kids are young adults now. And so I asked her, like, how do you raise kind kids? And she said, I think it's them watching you in the ways that you are taking action in your community and the ways that you are walking that walk. And I think really in parenting, doesn't it really kind of boil down to that anyways, is that we model for them and we show them and then hopefully that sticks.
Yeah, I listened to it last night and I loved what she said about her daughter wrapping presents and putting all the care into them to make them unique and special. And I was like, oh, it just fills my heart to hear that because that is a gift to raise children and then get to see parts of yourself in them and go, oh, those were the good parts of me. And now they're new.
Hmm. It's beautiful. So your garden has been this place of seed sowing, really, in your children's lives. And then it's also created all these open doors in your community. Or I don't know, I shouldn't say it's created open doors, but you've used it as an opportunity to open doors in your community. And you and I were both just sharing, we're both in our mid 40s and you're kind of we're navigating through this kind of new season of both motherhood and also just being a human being in these years and all that comes with them. So I would love to hear more about the We Do Not Care Club because everybody, I think, who's in our age bracket, I think that can really resonate with a lot of people listening right now.
Yes, I'm 43. I have had little hints that I'm entering into perimenopause or I'm in it. I think I've been in it for a while, but I have had so many symptoms that my skin's broke out like a teenager. I've just battled through frozen shoulder. I'm in physical therapy right now because I know my hormones are just all over the place. And I found the We Do Not Care Club on Instagram. The Cal's name is Melanie, and she makes such hilarious videos about things we do not care about now that we're in middle age. And if there is anything that resonates with me, it is her videos. They are hilarious. And I joined Growing Kindness, and really it has challenged me to find new ways to give out flowers. And once I saw those videos, I was like, oh, perfect. We're going to have a We Do Not Care Club in the garden. I'm starting a
I
written
love it.
chapter. So I made a video and I look like I look, rolled out of bed. My hair is a mess. There's no makeup on. And I just said the We Do Not Care Club's meeting in the garden. And I used a voiceover from one of her videos. It's so funny. It was fun to make. And I opened up my garden twice a week. I made a morning window and an evening window, hoping that people would be able to drop in when they could. And it was a challenge to me to be consistent, honestly. It's something I've struggled with my whole life.
I'm nodding and
Yeah,
I'm with you. I
I
hear
am
you.
sure I'm all kinds of undiagnosed, all kinds of things. But I was like, I'm going to do this and commit to this. All I have to do is show up in my garden. That's
Hmm.
really all I have to do is make myself available from this time. And so I opened up my garden for anyone that's going through perimenopause to come drop in and not care with me and cut flowers. And so I advertised it every week. And this is the funniest part. I would have people message me and go, oh my gosh, I love this. I love this so much. I want to come. I want to come to your event. And I just can't this week, but I want to. And every week I would get a million messages. And then guess who would show up? I would get one person every time. I kind of pictured when this started, it would be like me and a dozen other women walking through the garden and cutting flowers and talking or not talking together.
Uh-huh.
And
Whatever people needed in that
yeah,
moment. Like, I need
yeah,
connection or I need camaraderie and like what we're all going through together.
yeah.
Or
And so
just
the
please leave me alone in the quiet.
yes. And yeah, and I'm like, what better place for some little self-care than to come in a garden and pick flowers? And so the first week, no one came. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh, no one came to the We Do Not Care Club. I was kind of sad about it. And then
We don't care.
I guess we don't care. So I just thought, well, God, you know what it is. You know what it needs to be, and you will bring the people. And every single week, one person came, and I was able to visit with one person, but they would bring buckets and vases, and they would take home enough flowers to make 5 or 10 arrangements. And they would tell me as they were cutting flowers, I'm going to give this to my mother-in-law who's sick. I'm giving this to my friend at church who has a birthday. I'm giving this to so and so. This is for me. This one's for my daughter. This one's for the list was on and on. So out of the one person that came every week, the flowers went out to many people. And I thought, oh,
Hmm.
I'm so happy they get to not only enjoy the flowers, enjoy the process of coming and picking. And like, I work really hard in my garden and it's beautiful, but I don't realize just how beautiful it is. Because all I see are the
Mm-hmm.
weeds and the, like the broken drip irrigation and all the tools and stuff sitting around and my mess. Other people come to my garden and they love everything about it. They walk
Mm-hmm.
around and they ask me the name of every flower and they're oohing and eyeing over everything. And I'm just like, wow, like people should see this, I guess. They really like it. So,
It's such a reminder to show up as we are, right?
yeah.
I mean, and in that vein, like Melanie's theme of like, we do not care. Like, it really is about, I'm just not going to put on pretenses anymore. Like, I'm not going to worry about pretending things are a certain
Yes.
way when they're not. Just show up. And I think that we forget that the power, the beauty that's there that we're forgetting to see, but also the power that there is in just inviting people into our spaces as they are and into our lives as they are with the messy, weedy garden or the messy hair, whatever the reality is, that nobody really tends to see that. They see the beauty. And it's a really good reminder to us, I think, of how we even get to show up in the world. It's just people aren't seeing the things that we would like to change or improve. Like they're seeing the things that are already growing and beautiful that we actually, I think oftentimes, because they're common for us, we see them every day, we forget to truly see them. And I agree with you. I think there's something so inspiring about inviting people into your garden because they kind of, it's watching, you get to watch through somebody else's eyes. You start to see the beauty in new ways again. And it's there. It's been there all along. We just are so caught up with the weeds or the piles that we're missing the beauty right in front of us.
Yeah.
But,
And so we started with just maintaining the weeds behind our house because the thistle was coming through the fence into our lawn. And so my
uh-huh.
husband started like spraying back there. And I'm like, well, if we're taking care of it, I should put some sunflowers along the fence because why not? And then I was like, well, shoot, if I have sunflowers back here, I could put two more rows of perennials to start a petting garden. And then my husband's like, whoa, before you start putting in drip irrigation, you need to have permission. And I was so nervous to ask the school if I could plant on their land because I'm like, that is a big ask, asking someone to use their land for free. And I sat on it for probably 2 weeks, like, oh, I don't know. And then I decided, okay, I'm just going to do it. And so I sent an email to the principal and I worded it very carefully. This is my name. This is where I live. We've been taking care of the land back here to keep the weeds down, but we would really love to put in flowers. Is this okay? Could we have permission? And I sent the email just going, oh, whoa, what's going to happen? 5 minutes later, she emailed back, plant all the flowers. And oh,
So that's where your garden
that is where
is.
my garden is.
Like your cutting garden. So you have hundreds of dahlias.
Oh my
How many
gosh.
dahlias do you have?
This year, I have 4 rows of dahlias, which that was on purpose to limit myself because I just have an intense personality and one turns into 50, turns into 100. And so I've grown about 300 the last couple of years, but this winter was the winter of purchases. I purchased so many tubers over the winter, and that's what winter does. You can't garden, so you're inside shopping online. And I have 500 tubers in the ground right now. And
You are going to have a lot of flowers this year. That's exciting.
yes,
And so, but they're growing on
they're growing on the
land
school's
that,
land behind us under these power lines. And it's funny because when it rains, when there's humidity in the air, the power lines buzz. It's kind of freaky. And I'm like,
oh, you know what's funny?
yeah,
So I live in the Pacific Northwest. Well, I mean, we're both in the Pacific Northwest, but I think you're
we're
drier.
super dry here. Yeah.
You're super dry. So we're not. I'm like right by the Puget Sound. So we're high humidity all the time. I just assume that's what the power lines always did because we're always such high humidity in the air. But what I think is really cool about this story about your garden is, again, this like common thread of like, it's okay to get a little bit uncomfortable. Like just
Yeah.
like planting that seed in your kid's life. Like just take the flowers, take that moment of like kind of being uncomfortable and hard and trying this new thing. But you did that even to start your garden. It's just like, I'm just going to like take a chance and be in this kind of uncomfortable ask and conversation and put it out there. And then look what's unfolded because of that. So the school probably loves it because they have this beautiful view of all these blooms now.
Well, I don't know if the maintenance guy loves it because they've had to work around weeds and spraying and they had to start a new protocol. But I know the moms love it because I
Mm-hmm.
get to see all the moms that are walking their kids to school during the week and all the people. Our subdivision, since this field is behind it, on the other side of the field is another subdivision. And so we just have this little pocket of land and there's a lot of foot traffic and dog walkers. So I have been able to meet so many neighbors and people that live across the way just by having a garden, and I'm outside all the time. So I just had a lady last night whose dog was lost and she came to me asking if I'd seen it. And so I have met people that way too. Just being outside, you meet your neighbors.
Isn't that, there's so many impacts in our life that I feel like we don't even sometimes quantify or qualify, like just being out in our garden, like what it does for our mental health, what it does for our physical well-being. But then this really cool impact of what it does for our connections. Like you said, and you're not the first person I've heard who has suddenly meeting neighbors in their community because people are stopping to ask about flowers or because they just see them out in the garden all the time. I think especially in that kind of subdivision neighborhood environment where your neighbors are close by and you actually get to see and meet your neighbors just by being outside engaged in your garden. So it's just another just really cool way to open the doors to community and connection.
Yeah.
So cool. I didn't realize that about your garden. That's a really cool story.
Yeah. I grew up on acreage when I was a kid. And then when I was a teenager, my parents homesteaded 20 acres of forest behind Bogus Basin, which is the ski resort above Boise. And so I spent my teen years in the mountains. It was so beautiful, and land has always been part of my life. And so I just assumed when I got married and when we had a house, we would have land, and that would just be how we did it. And with Idaho, the population just skyrocketing over the past few years, that dream became so shattered. And I really struggled with contentment for years, going, God, you know, this is a desire of my heart, but it's impossible at this point. And this feels really hard. I have big dreams and this sucks. I live in a subdivision. And then my garden grew and it expanded out. And now I look at it and go, God, you've given me the desire of my heart in ways I could not have I couldn't have planned that or thought that.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible.
Beyond that if you were on acreage and your neighbors were further removed from you, you would have a beautiful flower garden, but you wouldn't be having these connections and conversations that you're having now with your flower garden being as it is in a subdivision.
Yeah. And my husband's like, honey, I want to go fishing. I like to vacation. If we had land, we would be tied to it. Like, you can't leave. You have to take care of it all the time. And I'm like, you're right. So I'm so thankful for this garden because it's given me, if I had land, that's what I would do, make a big flower garden. And so I'm able to have that and share it. And I could not have written it. It's incredible. And it gets even better. The school that owns the land, a church rented it and planted a church in that school. And we started going there, and we've been members of that church now for 7 years and teaching kids ministry. And so I look at it and go, wow, God gave me a garden and a church community on the land, the same piece of land. So it's just incredible.
I think often how what we perceive as our limitations, like within those limitations, is actually limitless possibility if we just can lean into what they are. And I've had lots of experiences like that in my life too, where I felt like this isn't what I wanted, or I want something more. And then when we learn to just really see the potential and possibility within what our reality is, it ends up just unfolding in the most beautiful, but, and like you said, unexpected ways. Like I never could have planned that to be the path that I get to walk. But as soon as we lean in and just trust that, like, what feels like a limitation right now, if I could look at it as possibility and opportunity, or if I could just trust that there is going to be possibility and opportunity in this situation, it just changes everything.
It does. It really does.
That's so encouraging. Jenny, your story is a beautiful reminder to us all of the threads of connection that can be woven into our lives. And what I'm seeing just repeated, and I know I just said this, but like we're seeing this repeated, is this when we step into that place of like a little bit of discomfort to try something new, to meet somebody new, to do something where we're not sure what the outcome is going to be. Like that's when the doors really open. Like that's when the connections really unfold. And it's really cool to see the way that you've stepped into those places of learning new things and making new connections and asking hard questions and the doors that it's opened up in your life. And then because of that, the opportunities that have unfolded for conversations and connections and community in such beautiful ways. And then to be modeling that for your kids. I'm walking away as a mom feeling really inspired by this conversation with you, and just that reminder that we just keep modeling kindness and we keep planting those seeds in our kids' lives, and they're going to grow in ways that we can't know. So I am very inspired by this conversation with us here today. I always love to end with a question that I think reminds us all just that there really is no such thing as a small act of kindness. What is one small act of kindness that someone once shared with you that you still carry in your heart today?
Oh, I thought about this when you told me the question ahead of time. And every time it circled back to the same moment. And I was a young mother. I had a 4-year-old and a toddler, and I was just overwhelmed in motherhood. We were starting to begin homeschool, and my oldest daughter was such a social butterfly. And it was back when the days were long, and she needed friends. And I had spent my years indoors with babies. I didn't have friends really. And I was like, I got to find friends for my daughter. And so I started looking in our Facebook groups online to find a VBS for her. I thought, let's get her out. Let's like do a VBS. Those are fun. I got to find a place. And so I found in our Facebook group for homeschooling moms in the area a church that was offering one, and I signed her up, and I was looking forward to that. And then the gal who was hosting it at their church, she messaged me personally and said, "We're having a park day. Why don't you come to that? It's next week." And so I came to the park day to meet her and a bunch of people I didn't know. And it ended up being my best friend for over a decade now. She and I just hit it off immediately. And she was a few years further along in homeschooling than I was. So she has been a huge place of support for me for all the years I've been schooling. And so I just think of that one moment, the invite to come to Park Day. And I can see how it changed the course of everything for me. And friendship for my children, a support system. And it's just, that was the best.
Thank you so much for listening to the Growing Kindness podcast. If today's episode encouraged you, there are a few simple ways to keep growing kindness with us. First, you can join the team. When you become a Growing Kindness gardener, you link arms with like-minded, like-hearted people from all around the world who believe that small acts of kindness really do make a big difference. To learn more or join the team, visit growingkindnessproject.org/gardener. Thanks to the generosity of our donors, membership is free. Another way to get involved is to become a donor. The Growing Kindness movement and this, our podcast, are made possible by the generosity of our donors, kind-hearted people who believe, just like you, kindness matters. If you'd like to support the movement, visit growingkindnessproject.org/donate to make a gift and keep kindness blooming. And finally, if this episode touched your heart, would you share it with a friend? It's one of the simplest ways to spread kindness today. I'm so grateful you're here. Until next time, keep growing kindness, one bloom at a time. This podcast is made possible in part by Her Connection Hub, a female-focused co-working space in Bellingham, Washington, who generously provides the studio space where these conversations are recorded.